So what happened in 2018? What does it mean for me and this business? What does it mean for you and your business? Coming up right now in this video. Hey, it's Calhoun with Coveted Consultant, and in this video I'm going to review my 2018. So we're going to do a 2018 year in review. I'm going to talk about what it means for my business and what it means for your business. So we're going to let this area serve as the agenda. We're going to let this area serve to be where we do all the explaining. Warning in advance, this is not going to be a short video. I'm not quite sure how long it's going to be, but I'm going to take as long as it takes to get through all the points here, because I believe that there's value on both sides as we get detailed going down the road here. So what's the agenda? We're going to begin with why I'm even making this video in the first place. We're going to talk about what I was doing or thinking about before 2018, so going into 2018, what was on my mind, what happened in 2018, what happened in that year, what I learned from what happened, how my response to what happened, and then what's going to happen in 2019, what are the plans? So let's get into it. So let's start with why. Why am I even doing a video like this? So the first thing is I just want to show you how I review my year. Let me tell you what I did very practically. I looked at the projects I did every month, January, February, March, April, May, all the way through December. And I asked myself a couple of questions. I went through, first of all, did I like the project? Did it feel good to me? I went through, so that's a yes or no. Do you like it? Yes or no? Why? And so then, after you go through that, should we keep the project? Yes or no? Why? And that got me through all of 2018. So why share that with you? Because if you've never done anything like this before, most of us make very emotional decisions at the end of the year. However we feel at the end of the year determines exactly what we do to begin the next year. And you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your business to get a little bit more data, a bit more objective about the process. So look again at what you did each month. Just take the highlights. You don't have to go in deep depth. But just look again at the big highlights of what you did. Did you like it? Yes or no? Why? Should you keep it? Yes or no? Why? And I think just going through that with yourself and your team, whoever your support system happens to be, will get you some clarity. So that's what. So for one, is I'm reviewing my year so I can make some better choices. And as a simple framework for you, I think that's beneficial for you. So that's why I'm doing this. Also, I think what I want to communicate in this video is to go even further about what you're up against in the coming year. There are some decisions that you need to make in your business. And I believe you should be aware of those decisions. Not just being sold more stuff to buy or more trends to follow, but what are the decisions that are most appropriate for you as the person that runs the business? So as we go through all of this, I'm going to come back to this theme a lot. How it matters to you, what you're up against, what you should be thinking about, etc. So that's why I made this video. Let's move into what I was thinking about coming into 2018. So coming into 2018, what was I already thinking about? So last year at this time, kind of what was in my mind? What I was thinking about was recommitting to the group coaching model. I've tried a couple of different ways to offer coaching services, and there are a variety of ways that you can do it. And frankly, I'll be testing some more in the future. But I was reminded at the beginning of 2018 of how valuable specifically the group coaching model is for me and my business. What I believe is that when you get people together and they begin working together, the team is greater than the individual person. And so the opportunity to interact with somebody else, to hear them, they hear you, you learn, you grow, you develop, you kind of have some exchanges. I think the value people get from that experience is so much higher. So what that meant on my end is that there was some additional tools, resources, infrastructure I had to build to make the group coaching model even better. So that was what I was thinking about coming into 2018. The webinar model has worked for me. Both live webinars and automated webinars have worked inside my business. So in 2018, I was doubling down on that. That was my thought process. I wanted to do that more. I wanted to do them better. And I wanted to solve many of the technical challenges, because boy, the technical software stuff in this conversation is very, very challenging. So I wanted to really figure this out and do better with that. Create more content. So at this time last year, coming into 2018, I was aware that this YouTube channel has been a value add for my business. It's been a value add to you. And so I wanted to make sure that I actively created more content, specifically more video content, more YouTube content, and let it be a value. Let it be a value to you, and also be a value back to my business. So here were the thoughts in 2018. Now let's talk about what happened in 2018. So let's talk about what I actually did in 2018. What happened in the business in 2018? So here's the list. Let's take them one at a time. One thing I did was I hired a virtual assistant. And this time I hired a virtual assistant with a much different and a much better attitude. I've hired VAs before. I've worked with VAs extensively before. I've, hired folks for a variety of different things. But this time, I wasn't just hiring someone to do a one-off task or to take some random work off my plate. I was hiring someone to work with me more strategically. There were very intentional, specific things I was trying to get done in 2018, and I needed the infrastructure set up in a certain way where I could do those things better and faster. So this person, this virtual assistant wasn't just, again, a worker bee. This was someone who's going to help me really set some things up for the future. I thought better about this hire. Therefore, I did better with this hire, and my business has seen very specific improvements as a result. So I hired a virtual assistant. What you also know is in 2018, I created a Facebook group. So why did I do that? Let's look at the notes here. I created the Facebook group because people were asking me questions privately via email, and they were asking me those questions as if they were the only person to ever suffer from this challenge. They were the only person to ever have this challenge. And so one of the main reasons why I created the Facebook group was to let people see other people, to let you see someone who looks like you, who talks like you, and to realize that you aren't living in this issue all by yourself. This loneliness of entrepreneurship, this loneliness of small business ownership can do crazy things to your brain. So that was one of the very simple reasons why I wanted to create a Facebook group, was to give people a free space to just interact and to talk and to get better, right? To just get encouragement along the way. Now, here's the thing though about creating a Facebook group as it relates to you, right? Creating a Facebook group, anybody can do that. You can go to Facebook, you can click a few buttons, boom, you got a Facebook group. But having a Facebook group that is useful to you and useful to your audience, two totally different conversations. So let me give you some of the quick bullet points of things you got to think about if you even want to do this, or if this even makes sense for your particular business. So you've got to think about where you're going to get your first group members from, right? So if it's just you and your mother inside the Facebook group, that's not good enough. You got to find relevant people to be inside your Facebook group. Where are those first set of users or first set of group members going to come from? How are you going to create engagement with those people? So the people in the group need to talk. Right? If no one's talking, then it's just another group on Facebook. And who in the world needs another group on Facebook? So you got to have a strategy of your own to create engagement inside the group. What's the group going to be about? Like, the group can't be about buy from me. Like, you can't create a Facebook group and the whole point of the group is buy from me. Like, that's selfish. It will come off immediately. It'll turn people away. So what's the topic of the group, and how is that going to get people to take interest in what it is in that topic, right? How are you going to seed conversations? So there's some things that you got to do to not just get engagement around ideas you want to get engagement around, but also just simply creating conversation, getting people to talk to one another. What are you going to do about that? How are you going to do that? Then, how are you going to manage the workflow of the Facebook group, the administration of the Facebook group, because everyone who joins the group doesn't fit. Sometimes people post things or say things that are not appreciated or that shouldn't be allowed. And so how are you going to manage the Facebook group? I'm in my Facebook group daily. That's a decision that I've chosen to make, right? But how is that going to relate to you? So all of these questions are things I had to think about and execute on in order for this Facebook group to be valuable to me, to the business, and to those who are inside the group. All of that thinking are those questions are all things that you need to think about. Right? I'm sure you've been advised or suggested, or someone sold you the idea of creating a Facebook group or some other kind of group, but all those questions still apply. You've got to think about how you're going to have the group be a success. Just having a group doesn't benefit you or anyone else. So, daily LinkedIn content. So one of the things that I realized, I just went through a flow of questions to make the Facebook group go and get some momentum, is especially early on in the group, I had to create a lot of content. I personally, individually, had to create a lot of content to help encourage, create, seed conversations. And I was looking for ways to repurpose, to reuse, to get scalability from that effort, right? And so what did I choose to do? I chose to take those bite-sized ideas that I was putting in the Facebook group and use them for daily LinkedIn content. And so that I was now taking those same Facebook ideas and I was posting them on LinkedIn. If we're connected on LinkedIn, you probably have seen some of the overlap. That's 100% on purpose. So that got me, in my business, that got me re-engaging with LinkedIn again and looking again at LinkedIn as a platform. So connected to that. So now that I was on LinkedIn again, really looking at LinkedIn again and seeing it and feeling it, I started doing a lot of research about kind of the latest versions of LinkedIn and what LinkedIn is doing and not doing, etc. And that's a whole conversation, by the way, what LinkedIn has planned and how those plans benefit you. But what I realized is that for most of us, we value LinkedIn as a place to have conversations, as a place to generate leads. And so, in looking at LinkedIn again, I did some research, I ran some tests of my own, and I refined a process for how to get leads via LinkedIn. And I've already explained all that. There's a whole program I created because I took that process and I broke it down and I offered it as a standalone course if someone wants to purchase that. But the idea here is that just being on LinkedIn isn't enough. Just posting on LinkedIn isn't enough. There's a way you got to think through LinkedIn so that LinkedIn is valuable for you and those you serve. That's a real process. And so I looked at that process again. I thought through it again. And at least in my own business, I continue to refine how I'm going to be engaged on the platform. Because, spoiler alert, if you're going to be on LinkedIn, you do in fact need to be engaged, right? So you can't just blast your content out. You need to find a way again to be engaged. So that was something some time I spent in 2019 looking again at that and refining that. So then going through all that, about at the halfway mark of the year, I began to look again at client service and what client service looks like in my business. I am really excited about this is a business, right? Coveted Consultant is a business. And so it's important that Coveted Consultant offer value to the people it serves. And it's up to me, I'm the leader of my own business, to be clear and specific about what that value is. And to also be clear and specific on how you get to that value, right? You got to get something from the business. And so I had to be honest and just look at that again. Beyond the content I create, what is the specific value people get from the program that I offer? So there were some things I began to really think about. What is the complete experience inside the program? Not what people are currently getting, but what should they get? How should it work? How should it be structured? So I began to look at that more deeply. The program should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yes, it's a coaching program. People learn some things and they do some things. But there should be a way people get started. There should be a way where they experience the middle, the hardcore work, and then they should be concluded or ended in some way. Got to think through that. And so I looked at that again. I began to send out, for example, onboarding kits. So, or really, it's really a welcome kit. So clients who sign on, they get something in the mail from us. Now, right? Now, guess who helped me organize that? My VA did. So this was important infrastructure for me. If client service is an important element of my business, then I need to make sure I fully understand it and can fully execute it and can execute it consistently over and over again. So to do it consistently, I need infrastructure, and that's what I hired this lady for. So the onboarding kit, what that looks like, really it's a welcome kit. I need to change my own language, right? Really it's a welcome kit for those who have signed on. And so what does that welcome kit look like? How is it shaped? I'm really proud of it, by the way. So yeah, that's one thing about making new clients feel welcome inside the program. They should get something, and what they get should be useful and intentional, not just some box of tchotchkes, right? Some box of, whatever, junk. It should be useful to them. What does that look like? And so I thought through that intentionally. Inside the program, people should be having more interactions, more conversations. It should be more back and forth, more specific back and forth. My job is to design a program that facilitates those numerous conversations. I had to think about that. I've thought about that a lot in 2018. It was also appropriate to have people convert or transform. So not only do you think about some things, you do some work, you have some conversations, but there should be a shift in attitude, a shift in value. That there should be a translation, there should be a transformation people experience being inside the program, and I have to make sure that the program facilitates that. In other words, you get your problem solved, right? Like whatever it is you came into the program trying to get clear on, you got clarity on it, you can execute on it when the program is done. So all of that was work that I had to do. Seriously, it's my business, right? This is the service that I lead. I facilitate this process. I've got to make sure that I think through that with a certain level of depth. So I spent probably, there were 3 or 4 good months that I spent really looking at this and making it better. So 2018 saw value from that, and I'll explain more of that value a bit later here. So that is what happened in 2018. Do you see what's not up here? So you remember I said to begin 2018, I was going to focus on webinars, right? Do that better, refine that more. Is that on here? I said I was going to create more content and be more intentional about that. Is that on here? Yeah, there's a point, and I realized this around the 4th quarter of last year. There are some strategic elements I lost focus on. I was trying to do whatever I was trying to do, and that was good, it was bad. I learned some things, did some things, great. But there's a point of strategic focus that I lost. And I gotta get back to that. And I say I because it's my business. I'm the person that runs the business. If I lose the focus, my business loses the focus, right? So I gotta stay focused. I'm the first person in the chain of events. So I take responsibility for that lack of focus. But we gotta be honest, right? There's at least 2 notches here that aren't here, right? My webinar work and my YouTube content work aren't here. Okay, so. Let's conclude. Let's talk about lessons learned. Let's get to it. So in thinking about lessons learned, let's talk about best clients. So let me recap for you who the best clients have been in Coveted Consultant in 2018. This is a summary, right, of some common traits of people who have joined the program and have enjoyed the experience. So the people who have had the most success, momentum, and the most fun, most enjoyment in the coaching program, I have found to be between 30 and 60 years old. And frankly, I was kind of surprised by this. I thought that Coveted Consultant would attract a younger person, more towards 30, that was newly starting a business and wanted to get a couple of clients. And what I found is something different. So let's continue. 30, 60 years old. I've talked to folks who are younger and older, but they typically fall in this bracket. So they're older. and they have legitimate expertise. I mean, people who have complete careers, who have had complete careers, who understand something very specific in the marketplace. When I say complete careers, sometimes that's 30 years, sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's 5 years, sometimes it's 2 years, depending on whatever it is. But they've got a legitimate experience, point of view in the marketplace. They are currently serving clients. So, period. People who have joined the program have, and what I mean by this is they know what it means to deliver value for someone else. They know what it means to deliver services, solve a problem for someone else. It's less conceptual. So people who were thinking about starting this business or thinking about offering this service, no, not so much. Now, some people with legit expertise are thinking about adding on a new service or leveling up their existing service. That's a bit different. So, but there weren't a lot of people in the program who, again, were starting purely from scratch, young people starting purely from scratch, trying to start their very first business. These are folks who had legit experience and were trying to improve how they were doing this. What I found interesting was the core pressure from people was a quality of life pressure. Now, everybody comes to the table and everybody says, I need more business, I need more clients, I want to grow my business. That's kind of level number one. But as we get deeper and deeper into the conversations, what people admit, they eventually admit, is that there's some quality of life thing they're trying to solve for. Their business, if I can summarize it to say this, their business has expanded and expanded and expanded. And where it should have taken 2 hours a day or 6 hours a day, it's now taking 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And the business is expanding into their personal time. There's personal things they want to do, and they can't do them anymore because they're doing business stuff. And so they want more control over how their business functions so they can enjoy more of this quality of life stuff. And so people have different ways of having this conversation, but what I've learned is that there's a life pressure forcing the business pressure or forcing the business improvement. I'm okay with that, but that's also what I've learned. I've learned that people are looking for a roadmap. Yes, I talk to people who want that silver bullet. They want that one thing to do. They kind of want a quick solution. And I appreciate that. But those people who have had the most success, enjoyment, fulfillment, momentum from the program were looking for a roadmap. They were looking for a process to follow, and they wanted help working down that process. And so I'm calling that out to you, right? Those are the folks who have been the best clients. They understand that their consulting, their expertise, that high-level advisory that they want to portray for their clients, that consulting expertise has to become a service, and that service must solve a problem. It must be a solution. They understand this chain. I talk to people that are smart and they want to be an advisor. They want to be that consultant. They want to give their clients instructions, but they don't necessarily connect with the fact that it's got to be a service, though. It's got to be a thing someone can buy. It can't just be you and your time or you and your expertise. It's got to be more concrete than that. And whatever it is that you offer people must solve a problem. It must take pain away. Your client has an issue. They interact with you and through a service. And in interacting with you, you take that pain away. So my best clients of 2018 understood this connection and were trying to get here as fast as they could to transform their expertise into a hardcore solution someone can buy and enjoy. And the last thing here is that they were ready to invest. They were mentally and emotionally ready, and financially ready to invest in solving the problem. They were no longer curious. They were no longer curious, right? And so, and for those who are curious, who kind of want to know what it looks like and know how it might work, I appreciate that. That's a very real place to be. So there's no judgment here. But those people who have had the most success and momentum, the best clients in the program, had an attitude of, I got to fix this now. And I know it's going to cost me some time, some energy, and some money. And I'm willing to invest my time, my energy, and my money to make this work the way that it really should. So this is a snapshot of the best clients from 2018. And I've got some more lessons I learned. We just covered best clients, so we know who those people have been from a profile perspective. But what are people specifically, tactically struggling with? What are the problems inside their business? So let's look at that in aggregate. So these highlights are from not just the clients, but from the many prospects and people I've interacted with on the phone, online, etc., who are trying to build a better consulting business. So here is thing number one, as people are building their very first sales process. Now, people don't say it this way. What people say is, where do I get clients? How do I find clients? I'm looking for my first client. I just lost a client. I need to figure out how to replace them. Questions like that. Where do I find clients is typically how this question is asked. But as we dig in that a bit deeper, the real truth here, the real issue, the real business challenge is that you're building your very first sales process. And there's some depth to this. Some of this I'm going to cover as we continue with this video. But the dynamic is most consulting businesses get their clients via referrals. And that works until it doesn't work anymore. And when it doesn't work, it's kind of like, oh my God, what do we do now? Because I don't know when my next referral is coming. So now I want more control over my client acquisition process, and I got to figure out how to do this. Most people think about this only as lead generation. So you would come to someone like me, you'd come to the program and you'd say, I need more leads. And what I'm going to say back to you is generating leads and converting leads is a process. And if you do not commit to building a process, you won't get the control that you're after. So there's a whole thing to this. There's not just the mechanical step-by-step, what do I say, the mechanical step-by-step, what content do I create, but there's also a sense of how should I be thinking about this? How do my thoughts drive the actions I take, which drive the clients I attract? It's a thing. You got to think about it. And if you've never done this before, you don't necessarily realize how much effort goes into it, how much effort that needs to go into it. Because when you're only counting on referrals, clients just show up. But when you decide to get control and command of client acquisition, you've got to build a process, and that requires a higher order of thinking. So I know that for as long as Coveted Consultant exists, I'm always going to be dealing with this issue on some level, but I'm just trying to inform you right now is that if attracting clients more predictably is interesting to you, I'm saying to you right now, you've got to build a sales process, a complete process for client acquisition, not just some mechanical piece therein. What's connected to this is that you're also committing to your first niche. So if you've never built a sales process before, you've never really been confronted with having to pick a niche because you just took whatever clients came. You told your friends, you told your family, you told your professional network, hey, I do a thing, this is what I do, send me some leads, whatever. And that works, and it can work for years. It can work for 3, 4, 5, 10 years until it doesn't work anymore. It works until it doesn't work anymore. And when it doesn't work like it used to work, you got to commit to a niche. And that, for some people, this is a scary moment. Like this is like, oh my God, it feels really risky committing to a niche. So please notice the words that I put here. Committing to your first niche. So it's not about committing to one niche for the rest of your life and you can never do any other kind of work. You can certainly grow and expand your company, but that's a strategic level of thinking. We begin with the first niche, building block, put a second niche on top of that, third niche on top of that, but you need the commitment here so you can build a core system to build something on top of. This is actually how it works. So you can dodge this if you want to. You will confront this guy. Sooner or later, you will confront this. It's the only way you can grow and get to the next thing, which is scale. So people come and I've been on the phone with many a person and they told me, I'm looking to scale. And every time they say scale, I get a little nervous. There's a shock I get because people throw this word around and I don't think they know what they're saying when they say the word scale. Scale, when most people use it, implies that magical hockey stick growth. You know, it's like Facebook and Instagram. It's like, you know, you built this company, you built this widget, you developed this service, then all of a sudden, boom, skyrocket. You've scaled. And that's just not real for most people. Every now and again, some darling company comes along and gets scale in that way, that magic hockey stick. But that's not how most companies grow. Most companies grow more methodically. Most companies experience the bumps and the up and downs along the way. That's just how life works, right? So, scale. Here's what I think you really mean when you say scale. What you mean is control. I want to be able to set up my business in such a way where I can bring in a bunch of business if I want to, work that business, and then bring in some more business. Work that business and then bring in some more business. I want more control over the levers inside my business. And if control is what what you're after, well then structure is what you need, because you can't control something that is unstructured, right? Or unsystemized. There are no systems. What levers do you turn? What knobs do you turn? So scale comes from structure. You're able to get scale when you have structure. So if you're speaking that language, then you know that's what we're talking about here. But some folks throw this word around, and the picture is harmful to their business because most companies just don't grow in that magical hockey stick like that. It's an unfair expectation. Moving on. There are some people who admit, and they just tell me, they say, I'm in my own way. They tell me. So these are things I've learned from you. I'm on the phone talking to people like you. You know, I got survey results from people like you. I'm talking on social media to people like you. And they'll tell me I'm in my own way. And it comes out in some version of, Alze, I've been doing this thing this way for this long, and it hasn't changed. Something I'm doing isn't right. I'm not doing something right. I got to figure this out. And that's a version of being in your own way. Sometimes people say things like, I don't know what's wrong, but whatever I'm doing ain't working. I have no idea. It's just not coming together. It's just not coming together. And I know somehow, some way, you know, I got to do better in order for this to work. That's also in your own way. So these are themes. These are things, again, that I've learned from you as I interact with you and people like you. These are those common themes that people are struggling with. Okay, so one more big section from the lessons learned section, and that is what the survey said. So in the fourth quarter of 2018, I put out a survey, and it was my annual survey of my audience to understand what people were struggling with, where they might need help, etc. And so I asked some very specific questions, and I needed some feedback so I could make the company better. And thank you if you completed that survey, because all of this data is what's helped me create this video and will guide 2019's efforts. Here's some of the things that were in the survey that haven't been covered somewhere else. There were 3. One is love the videos. So I mean, I can't tell you how many times I saw that in the survey responses. Like, you know, what did you enjoy from Coveted Consultant? Love the videos. And people said things like, especially the whiteboard videos like these. So why do you think I'm making a video like this one, right? Because this is what you told me you liked. So we love the videos, especially the whiteboard videos. The content is detailed, specific, actionable, impressive. And these are words people actually have used. They've told me about this content. And I'm honored by that. So thank you for enjoying the content. Thank you for giving me your honest feedback. And I'm honored that what is being created, you're finding useful. That's my intention, and I'm glad that that's getting across. I've heard people say more than once that it deals with what I'm thinking. Like, I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to frame it. I didn't know how to describe it. But your video spoke right to what I was thinking. And so I hear you. I hear that you're saying that. I hear the kind of content you like. I hear what you like about it. And so we want to continue that. And what I thought this was funny. Well, it was a bit frustrating at first. Then I just kind of laughed about it because I made a mistake and I was laughing at myself. One of the things I asked about in the survey is, I asked very directly, why haven't you become a client? Just, you know, why not? Tell me why, right? And whatever answer is appropriate, right? I'm just trying to figure it out. And so people said very clearly, I don't know what you offer. Like, I don't know what the program is. I don't know how it works. I don't know what you offer. And, you know, I'm the business person here. I think about it all the time. So in my mind, I was like, how can you not know? But the moment I kind of took a step back and looked at my own material, I kind of went, I get it. I get it. So totally fixable. This is something I can totally fix. I've got to do a better job communicating what the program is, what it does, and what you can expect from it. So coming soon on that. So these are things that I learned from you from the survey. Now, pause just for a moment. Back to you. Are you surveying your audience? Do you look at the data you get from your interactions with people? And does that summarize for you? How do you summarize that data? I don't mean how you feel in December. That's not the same. I'm talking about if do you have data in your business? Do you have data? Are you collecting data? You see my hand making a writing notion. You don't always have to have numbers and spreadsheets. Sometimes you just write out notes. But do you have data? Do you review that data? Do you know what your client base is saying back to you? So this is important. This is making my business smarter, and I believe this kind of data makes your business smarter as well. Okay, so that's lessons learned. Now let's get into my response to all that data. How do I respond to what I've learned from you in 2019? Well, how does my company respond to all that information? What angle, what point of view are we going to take to respond appropriately and to respond at a high level to all that data? So here is my perspective here. There are two core ideas I want to put in front of you. One is to remind you of this very important chain of value that happens inside your company. I want to remind you that you run a company, an organization that offers a service, a very tangible service, like a gift, to clients who are unhappy with their current situation. And those clients pay money for that experience. I know you want the money. We all want the money, right? We all want to double our business tomorrow. We all want to do that. But how does that happen mechanically? Okay? When these ideas are sold to you, ideas are often sold to you, often sold to your greed, right? Here's how you can make more money in 2019. Here's the software system that you need so that you can make more money, right? We've heard that sales pitch 1,000,001 times, and it's not going anywhere, by the way. It will always exist. But for those of us that know better, we got to think about that with a bit more intellect, a bit more care, concern, thoughtfulness, right? So let's work through the chain. So you may say, well, Alzay, I know for me to make more money, I've got to serve clients. I know that, Alzay. All right. But we all seen the challenge. You try to talk to people who don't know who you are or what you do. So the only way that you're going to resonate with these people is by offering a very clear service, right? Having this clear service is what allows you to resonate with him or with her, and what makes him pay the money. But if all you do is offer a service, then you become the service. Everybody's got to talk to you. Everything works through you. Nothing happens without you. And then here comes the pending doom, right? This is why you can't do anything else, because you do everything inside the service. So the only way you can free yourself up and get some leverage, get some scale, some control, is if you shape the company better. So you've got to think more deliberately, intentionally. You, as the individual, must think more deliberately, intentionally about the company you want to run, and design a service that solves the problem for this client who's got a sad face and they want a happy face. What service should turn that frown into a smile? And if you can promise that, then they'll be more than happy to pay you whatever the appropriate premium is. Here's what I know as a business coach. I know that there's a lot of things that you think about way up here that break the chain down here. And I know that you may not know that. You may not realize that. These could be blind spots for you. But there are things that you think about, a way of framing an approach that you've taken, could be for years, that you've taken. You didn't realize that your decisions way up here broke things way down here. And you wanted the money so bad, but you couldn't get to the money because that was broken and that was broken and that was broken. And the only way to fix these things is by making an adjustment way up here. I know that. I do that work with people all the time. every video you've seen on this channel comes from this crucial perspective. The question is, how far down this path do you want to go? What level of change are you prepared for way up here? Now, let me inform that just a bit more. One of the simple things that I've learned by talking to people, one of the simple things I've learned that is breaking this, that is keeping people from doing this more effectively, is they're not having enough conversations. You need more conversations. You don't need more clients. You don't need more leads. You don't need more sales. What you need are more conversations. What I've found is that most people only get on the phone with people that they think they can sell something to immediately. So any phone call that doesn't involve, or any interaction, any conversation that you don't think you can convert into a sale, you don't even take the phone call. You don't even take the interaction. You won't even have the conversation if you don't think you can close a sale. And then when you're on the phone or you're having the interaction, all you can think about is the money. All you can think about is how fast can you go from here to here. And that perspective, that hardcore sales perspective, that over focus on sales is damaging your company. A more appropriate perspective is to view each conversation as insight that makes this chain better. Every conversation you have gives you the opportunity to listen for a problem and then think through if you can solve that problem. But what I just said is very different than selling. So most sales conversations, all you're trying to do is get a sale, and when you hang up the phone, all you can remember is did they buy or not. That's all the data you have, is did they buy or not. And it's hard to make business decisions when all you have is yes or no in your head or in your memory. So you've got to learn to have better conversations with more insight in them so that you can understand what the real problem is facing this person. And then you can design a service to solve that problem, because now you know what the real issue is. And then when you've designed this service, you can think about, what kind of company should I create? How should my company be shaped so that this service always works and this client is always happy and we always get paid? Then you can think about, what is my involvement? How should I be involved in my company so that a consistent service is delivered to clients who are always happy and the money and the bills are always paid on time? This is informed by better conversation. So actually, I should put the word better here. Not just more, but better. But better conversations. These are two themes, and there's depth here, clearly. These are two themes that you're going to hear from me and from this company even more often, because it's so important that you shift what happens here so you get more of what you want down here. And the main leverage point is how you handle these. Okay, let's bring everything home here. Let's conclude the video with some final thoughts. I want to make sure I leave you with some concrete action steps. I realize this video is long. I realize this video is dense. And you may end up watching this video more than once. And as you take in all this information, some of it can be clarifying, and that can be a bit inspiring. And some of it can be a bit overwhelming because you realize you haven't quite solved for that issue. You can feel some of that pressure. And it can leave you with a bit of mental mush because you don't know what to do next. So let's admit something here. There's something in the rhythm of your business that is suboptimal. There's something in the rhythm of your business that just isn't the way you'd like it to be. It doesn't mean that everything is horrible and falling apart, but just, you know, there's space for better, and you just can't quite figure out how to get into the better. And that's due to the rhythm that you're currently in. Right? You run the business. You decide how all these things flow. And the flow that you currently have isn't getting you what you want. You need a new flow, right? You need a new daily rhythm. So I want to offer you a couple of thoughts here that will help break that daily rhythm and hopefully introduce some new ideas to you. So, for idea number one is take a day off. And this is a rule that I followed aggressively about 3 years ago. I was in a loop of working 7 days a week, every day. Every day I was working on my business and I was making myself crazy. And one of the things I did to help break that rhythm was I took a day off, and I chose Friday. I chose a weekday specifically because it would force me to be more productive in the first 4 days of the week. So that taking Friday off made me have to stop. So I had to get the most important things done on Thursday. So taking that day off deliberately not only allowed me to be more productive Monday through Thursday, but it made taking Saturday and Sunday off more reasonable, right? Have you ever worked 7 days a week? It's a bad idea. So this helped me break that and improve a number of things inside my daily rhythm. Next idea is no smartphone. Even today, I am learning to take my smartphone with me less often. I leave it at home. I leave it on my desk. I don't bring my smartphone everywhere I go because the smartphone becomes a distraction. It's hard to be present when you're talking with someone or interacting with someone because that thing keeps beeping and chiming, or just the fact that it exists in front of you. You pick it up and you play with it. It breaks your deep thinking. So I've learned to carry my smartphone around less and less. Specifically on my smartphone, I don't get my business email on my smartphone. If you send me an email, I will not get it on my smartphone. I can't even get access to it. So if I'm out and about or whatever, then I'm just out. And I've made it okay inside my business because I run my business. I've made it okay to not get emails on my smartphone. They're not necessary. I also don't have Facebook on my smartphone. I don't have the app. And I'm not in a browser window. It isn't even available. So I cannot access Facebook on my phone. That's another one of those things that we open up, we scroll through, and we just kind of burn time. We burn our precious mental time because we're doing things on Facebook. So this began to separate me from that mindless thinking that we all are guilty of sometimes. And it forced me to have deeper thoughts. Whatever I was thinking about in that first 5 minutes can't be interrupted in the second 5 minutes because Facebook was calling me or because my phone rang. So I'm able to think more deeply about things that matter most, personal or professional. Third is write before you type. Every morning when I wake up in the morning, I don't run to my computer and turn my computer on. I used to be in that habit. I would wake up and within the next 10 minutes my computer was on. Why? Like what? Once you say that out loud, you can hear how ridiculous that sounds. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I grab pen and paper. Well, first of all, I wake up. I may walk around the house, speak to my wife, etc. But right after that, I've got pen and paper, and I'm writing out my thoughts for the day. And I do that very deliberately. It's uninterrupted time, and I do that before I turn the computer on. It reminds me of what I'm thinking about. Because some of my thoughts are not very good thoughts. They're not very useful thoughts. And by writing them out, I go, oh, shouldn't do that today. And it just doesn't happen. Or shouldn't do that ever. Or you realize that idea is important. That should be first. But you got to slow down for a minute and you got to appreciate what thoughts are on your mind. And this becomes a daily discipline. You do it every single day. The value of this is that this changes your thought life. It changes how you're thinking. It changes how you're thinking about your business as well. And as you have better thoughts about your business, or better thoughts in general, then you can shape a business that's aligned with your better thoughts. You can then shape a service aligned with your better thoughts, serve clients aligned with your better thoughts, make money aligned with your better thoughts. You are so important to your business, and you owe it to yourself, to your business, to your family, to your clients, to level up your thinking. So these are three short things that you can do to change that momentum without having to buy some fancy program or without having to watch 100 more YouTube videos. Final note. Thank you for watching this video. I realize if you've made it to the end of this video, you not only care about improving your business, but you also care about the improvement of my business. And I thank you for both of those ideas. So I look forward to offering you even more value in 2019, and let's continue taking this journey together. Again, my name is Alze Calhoun with Coveted Consultant.